Hi there, I'm Chris Davis, and this video is just to show a basic wrist warm-up when you're doing a lot of hand balancing, arm balances, inversions, handstands, that sort of thing. And honestly, even if you're not working that kind of thing, there's a lot of benefit to doing this sort of thing, getting more wrist mobility, strength in your hands, engaging tension in your hands far past the usual everyday range of motion for most people. So just feel this out as best you can, and this is intended to be a pretty short routine. These are the most basic stretches, and there's plenty more that you can play around with. Keep in mind, there's nothing magic about these, but these are probably the three positions and movements that I come back to again and again, and usually base the wrist stretches off from my classes off of. So to start, I'll just bring this into all fours to begin. And just to begin from here, just start from all fours, and the further forward you are in the upper body, keeping the hands away from your knees, the more intense this is going to be. And you can always back off by bringing the hands in close. Keep in mind, taking more of the weight to your legs. The key is to engage tension from your hands. But for this first stretch, keep the palms facing down and then rotate each hand. Fingertips toward the side, and then rotate your hands in so that the fingertips point back toward you. Just come as far as you're able. You don't have to be too extreme with this, but do that with both hands. Now flatten your hands, spread your fingers wide, grip the floor. So you want to have tension in your hands, and you want to grip as though you're trying to press 10 holes into the floor, one for each fingertip. And keep the arms straight. Press your spine up toward the ceiling. And where you should feel this, and this depends, and this is a little bit different from person to person, but you're definitely going to feel this through the wrist, and let this go into the undersides of the forearms, and just work that. Now keep the arms straight, keep gripping, hold that tension as much as you can, and maybe just stay in place like this, engaging tension. And there's enough benefit to that you just stay in place. And if you like, you can move around a little bit, maybe take it forward and back, and come in and out of the tension. And I recommend that you hold this for probably about 30 to 60 seconds at a time. And you can always go longer. You're not really going to hurt yourself doing this as long as you don't get too extreme. If you feel any sort of sharp pain, back off a little bit. And that's really the sign that you know that you're taking things too far. And just to show you from the front, same thing. Just my wrist underneath my shoulders, palms facing down. I'm going to rotate my fingers out to the side and then try to bring them in toward the knees as much as possible. And then set the hands down flat. And again, spread your fingers wide, dig the fingertips down. Press the spine up toward the ceiling. And this is the first stretch. Now for the second one, very similar to the first, but the key difference, and this is what makes it more intense, is that you flip the hands over. And for this one, I recommend bringing the hands a little bit closer to the knees, because a lot of times it's way too much weight to take if you have the hands further forward, if you're new to this. But you flip the hands over with the backs of the hands down, palms facing up, fingertips pointing in toward you. And when you set the hands down, flatten them out as much as you can, spread the fingers wide, press the fingertips down. And you want to have enough tension in the hands as though you were going to straighten the hand through the floor. So as though you're going to press down and bring that hand in line with the forearm, but keep that tension in your hand. Now you're going to feel the stretch of the back of the hand, the wrist, the upper side of the forearm this time. Still keep the tension with the fingertips pressing down. And if you want to move here, I just recommend taking this lightly side to side. Try to keep your spine lifted. And just breathe into this. And just like that first stretch, I recommend taking this for about 30 to 60 seconds at a time. And to see this from the front, same thing with my hands forward. Backs of the hands down, palms up, fingers wide, and spine pressed toward the ceiling. And this is just a basic stretch. So you just want to come into that position and hold tension within it. Now for the third thing, what I recommend is coming into all fours and making your hands into fists. So 4 fingers in your palms, keep the thumbs outside. And then just press the fist into the floor like you're punching straight down or even holding 2 parallel door handles. And then from here, keep the fingers curled in. So you want that tension in your hands. And then bend into the right wrist. Come to the back of the right hand. You can bend the elbow if you need to. And then come back up on the knuckles. Do the same on the left side. And come back up. And I recommend just taking this back and forth. Not too fast, but not excruciatingly slow. Maybe about, say, 10, 20, maybe 25 times on each side. And if you're going a little bit faster, do a few more of these repetitions, but don't take it too fast. Now to see this from the front, again, the hands are in fists, and I'm just taking it side to side, fingers curled in, and notice they stay curled in as I come down on the back of the hand, and I'm taking it back and forth. A lot of people like to open up to here, and you lose all that tension in the hand. Keep in mind, try to keep it as much as you can. And if this feels too intense, go ahead, bend the elbow a little bit further, and you can always back off from the stretch. To intensify it, keep the fingers curled in, try to straighten your arm as much as you can, even as you bend into the wrist. And just take that back and forth. And I just recommend, again, maybe up to like 25 rounds of this, going right and left. And then when you're done, just come up onto the fingertips, down to your heels, shake your hands out, and just loosen your hands up and loosen up your fingers. And I do recommend doing that at least once every day, especially if you're starting to get more into inversions or hand balancing, or if you're just getting used to putting more weight on your hands, especially later in life. If you haven't taken a lot of weight on your hands or built a lot of upper body strength, it's a big shock. I have a lot of people who come to yoga in middle age, say 40 and above, and all of a sudden they're putting a lot of weight on their hands and their wrists feel tense and tight, and they're feeling all kinds of tension in their forearms. This goes a long way to relieving that. And I do recommend doing this every day. You can do this multiple times a day. You're not really going to hurt yourself here. Just make sure you don't crank past any sort of sharp pain, and you can build a lot of tolerance for this. Now, I only started doing this when I was about 40 myself, and actually when I started yoga, I could not flatten my hands on the floor into like this. I had to do everything on my fists. So I'm just letting you know that that can change over time, but it takes steady, consistent work to get into that, and that's why I recommend spending just a little bit of time every day. Thank you very much.